Greetings everyone, and welcome to Mega Life 21, the hardest hitting internet talk radio station on the planet. We are coming to you live from the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey. And we had a bit of a snowstorm. We have one every week for the winter of 2010-2011 here in the Garden State of New Jersey. It's really getting very tiring digging our cars out and shoveling the sidewalk. Right, Bill?
Absolutely.
All right.
Not that I do it.
No, not that he does it. It's true. Very busy in his in the Newsletter Censored Research Center in northeastern New Jersey, which we are coming from. My name is James Piranha Madonna, and I'm here with my illustrious co-host and mentor, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman of NewsletterCensored.com. How are you feeling today, sir?
Fine.
Okay, this will be technically the first, not the first recording and broadcast of discussions, which happens to be one of our hard-hitting internet talk radio shows. Okay, we've been doing discussions for years now on through the Pirate Radio Network on Internet Talk Radio, but this is the first discussions, quote-unquote discussions, of Volume 1, because this is the first time we are broadcasting discussions not only on the radio station but on the internet through video. So this is the very first video recording of discussions, which involves the reading of current news topics of importance, not frivolous things, but the 5 taboos of American life, which is connected to our newsletter titled Censored. Okay, politics, religion, health, human sexuality, and child rearing, and of course the politics is a very big part of what we do here with the newsletter. And it could include science, it could include environmental issues, things of importance. But I want to start the show. Oh, incidentally, my mentor and co-host, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, is a fine watercolor artist, and this is a self-portrait right next to me here to my right, which is actually your left. This is the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman, a sample of his paintings, and what you can see his paintings on NewsletterCensored.com, the William J. Eisenman Facebook profile, and www.myspace.com/Megalife21. It is the William J. Eisenman collection, and based on availability, drop him a line, email him, and ask him if the painting is available, and the bidding starts at $500. And of course, the very backbone of our entire organization is Newsletter Censored, founded by the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisenman in 1977. This is the kind of information, the kind of hard-hitting truth that most people are afraid to hear. Can you handle it? So the best way to support our organization and join our organization is to get your annual membership, your free annual membership with your gift to support this work. Go to www.newslettercensored.com, read all of the hard-hitting information, click on the printable order form, and with your gift to support this work, get your free annual subscription right now. The best way to support this organization and the best way to join it. Well, sir, I just want to say that I want to make a toast, and I'm actually very sad and depressed, to a great man, one of our mentors in health and fitness. The legendary Jack LaLanne has died at age 96 of pneumonia, I believe in San Francisco, California he lived.
We'll be doing something on him if we can get to him.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised he died of pneumonia despite all the supplements he took, but what must have happened, I noticed when he did the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer commercials, he looked very frail and pale, and there's a possibility he got the wrong advice as far as nutrition when he got heavily involved in juicing, His blood sugar might have gotten really high, which might have affected his immune system, because carrots have a lot of sugar. They're high glycemic index of vegetables. And he might have cut out the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, because he might have been staying away from fats completely, thinking like allopathic drug-pushing medical doctors and the American Dietetic Association, wrongly thinking that all fats are bad, demonizing all fats. And that is very serious information, very wrong information, because the body requires the fat-soluble vitamins to survive and to maintain optimal health. You just need it. And the late, great Dr. Robert C. Atkins once said that the #1 deficiency in America is essential fatty acids. So that might have played another role in Mr. Jack LaLanne getting pneumonia. You know, he could have been cured with intravenous mega vitamin C therapy. I don't know who took care of Jack LaLanne when he got sick, when he got the pneumonia, but I'm sure if Dr. Gary Noel was watching over him, it might have been a very different story. So obviously something went wrong when poor Jack LaLanne. But anyway, to a great man, one of the greatest icons in health and fitness and nutrition around, Jack LaLanne. I think Paul Bragg was his mentor. You know?
I don't know.
But anyway, I want to say something about a very popular man in the right-wing fundamentalist Christian evangelical world. His name is Harold Camping. Now, Harold Camping originally was I think a building contractor in the Oakland, California area, I believe, his history. And he seems to be on the air all the time, day and night. He's on radio nationwide. He's on cable TV constantly. I'm sure they're pre-recorded shows. And he seems to be getting a lot of money in donations, because naturally, if you're a right-wing fundamentalist who tries to rewrite the Bible, you tend to get a lot of donations from fools. You know, just like the right-wing Tea Party people voted for a Republican Congress. Fools. Lemmings, led by the nose. Monday night, this past Monday night, oh, by the way, it is Wednesday, January 26, 2011. Okay. This past Monday, I forced myself to sit through a Harold Camping program. And I noticed that anybody who disagrees with Harold Camping in any way, shape, or form, Harold Camping automatically cuts them off. And before he quickly goes to the next caller, he tells them that he will pray for them, and they are obviously not a child of God, and they are unsaved. So if you disagree with Harold Camping, even if you say that you do not believe that the rapture will take place like May 21st, 2011, I believe is something of that nature, he's insisting that the end will begin. And of course he made these predictions 2 times before. I think once in the 1980s. Anyway, he was wrong before, 2 times. And the Bible says not even Jesus or the angels know when the end will come. But Harold Camping seems to know. He has a bat phone, a stovepipe to God. So Harold Camping obnoxiously and arrogantly tells people if they don't agree with him, they're unsaved and they're not a child of God, and he cuts them off and he goes to the next caller. Basically, that's it. Now, you were telling me before that the Catholic Church made a statement.
Mr. Benedict, Mr. Popey Benedict said...
Benedict, yeah.
...that the Bible should be interpreted as it was in the old days. And basically anything that is said about the Bible that the Catholic Church has not said that is true is untrue.
Sounds very filmy.
In other words, the Pope will interpret the Bible for you.
Oh, really? Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds like right-wing fundamentalist evangelist. Sounds like Harold Camping.
Same thing.
Or maybe Pat Robertson.
They all think they know, what it says.
They're all victors of... What's the word?
Victims of delusion. That's
Victims of delusion.
That's what they're victims of.
Yeah, and they're very self-righteous, and they want to rewrite the Bible, which is a violation of the Bible. So obviously they do not know the Bible. They only thump it. But this is Harold Camping, basically, and you were looking for the article, which you haven't been able to find. But it
Beelzebub probably took it.
But Beelzebub, Satan probably made
misplaced
it and got rid of it. Since he is really behind right-wing fundamentalists, the article basically said Harold Camping was wrong before. And speaking of right-wing fundamentalist religious nuts, popular singer, young lady by the name of Kate Perry. She was on TV with her sister talking about their lives growing up.
She's got a big show coming up.
That's right. Now, Kate Perry, aside from the controversy with Sesame Street because they felt she was a little too scantily clad, and aside from her singing ability and her career, poor Kate Perry's father was a right-wing fundamentalist religious nut preacher who did not allow Kate Perry and her sister to even bring in the house Lucky Charms cereal because of the words Lucky Charms and magically delicious. He did not allow Kate Perry and her sister to celebrate Halloween or to participate in Halloween, almost like the Amish. He tried to isolate Kate Perry and her sister from the world. He was like Ned Flanders on The Simpsons. He was a nut. He's a jerk. If you ever hear this video, you're a horse's ass, Kate Perry's father. You really are. You're a jerk for trying to isolate your daughters and thinking everything from the world, for overreacting and thinking that every little thing in the world is Satan.
Well,
the kids can't even have a cereal because the word lucky and there's a leprechaun in the front. I mean, give me a break.
He should have known better, because if he knew his Bible says that nothing from the outside can corrupt a man except that which is in the man. Same thing happened with Lucifer.
Yeah.
Nothing from the outside corrupted Lucifer.
Right.
It was his own vanity.
His own vanity.
Which
selfishness, pride.
From inside.
Well, excuse me. I hate this fucking thing next to me. Anyway, Harold Camping says that 1988 was the end of the so-called church age, and in his opinion, the churches after 1988 became spiritually dead, and Satan started working through the churches. Now, you told me Satan has always been able to have access within the churches, so it's nothing new.
Absolutely. Speaking of churches, since before the first century.
Yeah, but that's the gist of it.
Corruption already entered into the original church.
The original Church of God, which has always
Jesus left behind.
Unfortunately,
Peter, became the rock cult and everything.
Yeah, unfortunately, the original Church of God has always been, is today, and will always be a very small flock.
Yeah.
And you were saying most likely, unless other congregations or other ministries begin, the Philadelphia Church of God in Oklahoma is probably the closest thing right now to the original Church of God, and of course before one of your mentors, Herbert W. Armstrong.
The worldwide Church of God.
Yeah, modern day Elijah, right?
So that became Laodicean.
Yeah. And
then the Philadelphia Church of God, or the people who began it anyway, had to break off from the Laodicean worldwide Church of God. So yeah.
Well, also in the news, Mr. Crisco Christie, conservative Republican governor of New Jersey, had mentioned that he refuses to tax the rich, even though the Democrats in Trenton want to start taxing the rich to make up for the lack of homestead rebate and all the social programs that were cut by Chris Christie. But the funny thing is, Chris Christie wants to bring back the homestead rebates, but you're not going to get a check in one lump. You're going to get a quarterly credit.
A tax credit.
A tax
so in
credit.
other words, the disabled and the elderly will not ever get it again. It is only for people who have paid the taxes, and now they will get a credit.
Yeah, but isn't the credit a lot of bullshits because they raised the property taxes recently? So it's like retail. A jacket is on sale, 20-30% off, but they jack up the regular price of the clothes of the jacket. Isn't it the same thing if they raised property taxes in New Jersey last year and possibly this year? Isn't the credit nonsense?
It's the same hypocrisy. Mr. Christie is off today in Illinois, supposedly to bring businesses and jobs to New Jersey. But in the meantime, he's laid off and fired all of these teachers and firefighters and police and etc. All those jobs are gone.
He spends more time out of New Jersey than he does in New Jersey.
That too.
You know, and he also wants to privatize everything under the sun, including recently the toll booths. You know, and he wants to privatize public schools, by the way. So if you're not rich and you can't afford to pay for your child's education out of pocket, then you know the little guys, the children of the poor and the middle class, do not get an education.
And that's what they want.
Well, because they want you to be slaves to their corporations.
That's true.
Inevitably.
If they educate you too much, then you will not take those jobs.
Yeah, he wants toll collectors.
Also remember, who caused the financial meltdown in 2008 were the highly educated elites of Wall Street.
The elites of Wall Street.
The Harvard graduates.
The Harvard graduates.
The Yale graduates.
The Ivy Leaguers.
The Ivy Leaguers.
Muckety mucks.
Right. They're the ones who caused the problem.
Well, Christie expects the toll takers to make $12 an hour instead of making a good living with the union that they've been making. You know, after all, you got to breathe carbon monoxide on the highway and all that shit. I mean, you know, it's like, hey man, there's no incentive to do that job for $12 an hour. You need an incentive to put up the crap of being a toll taker.
The incentive that the elites right now are trying to push on this country is that to be able to survive, you will take any job.
They're relying on, they're playing with the psychology of desperation, like a store manager, an assistant store manager for Pathmark Supermarkets told me in the early 1990s. Actually, that's basically when I first met you, and your one of your co-workers, Gilda.
Yeah, while we were shopping. Yes.
Right, that's right. About early 90s, I first met you. Through Pete, the produce man.
Yes.
And she told me, my prediction is, when American workers become desperate enough,
there you go,
they will work for minimum wage no matter what.
There you go.
You see, but the Republicans want this to happen.
Yes.
They're anti-union, they're anti-labor, they're anti-minimum wage, and
they're anti-little guy.
They're anti-little guy. But, of course, overtaxed middle-class America believed the Tea Party nonsense. They believed the Republican Party, and they voted in a conservative Republican Congress. And we heard Obama last night with his State of the Union address. I didn't hear anything about taxing the rich.
Pure corporatism.
Pure corporatism. What is your short summary of Obama's State of the Union address, basically?
Well, that was it. It was all for jobs that are not here yet. Innovation. We have to be more educated, etc. But none of that is going to bring back the jobs that are gone, or bring back the some 40,000 manufacturing businesses that do no longer exist in America. Nothing is going to come, you know. Those jobs are gone.
Those jobs are gone forever. They'll never come back.
Exactly. And nothing was said about that, or how to do that, or how to build the economy to be able to bring those people into the force.
And unfortunately, until these new jobs are created, Mr. Obama, who is a businessman like Bill Clinton, okay, not a true liberal, until those jobs are created, the bills still have to get paid. The mainstream and the poor and everybody still has to pay the bills. So without the social programs and the federal extensions to unemployment, oh, by the way, the 99ers, their extensions are exhausted.
Look.
And you know what they told me when I interviewed a government employee? They said there is nothing on the horizon right now as to additional federal extensions to unemployment.
However, Ben Bernanke and the boys at the Federal Reserve have given trillions of dollars to 21,000 businesses, central banks throughout the world, McDonald's, J.P. Morgan, Citigroup. All of these places got loans which have no interest payments, don't know when they're going to be paid back. All of this money, these loans, were given to them. Nothing was given to Main Street. Nothing.
Nothing was given to Main Street America? Main Street America.
That's correct.
Oh, by the way, Glenn Beck.
The consumers.
I forced myself to listen to Glenn Beck because what's the basically the liberal station, MSNBC was showing some quotes that Glenn Beck made on Fox News, and Glenn Beck was promoting violence, and he was talking like a horse's ass. Really, he was promoting pretty much violence, more or less, you know, and very stupid, asinine comments made by Glenn Beck. And of course, MSNBC showed some of the quotes he made and instigating problems, okay, you know, like what happened unfortunately in Arizona towards the Democratic Congresswoman. And
remember, Sarah Palin put
wood on the fire?
No, she put the crosshairs on that woman's district. Crosshairs.
Crosshairs?
You know, the gun sight. When you're looking through a gun sight, you got the crosshairs.
Okay.
That's how they did it.
Oh, that's what that means.
Yeah.
Crosshairs.
So this nut over there, this Lochner nut, I mean, he picks that up and, you know, he runs with it.
Now, Glenn Beck, I changed the channel out of curiosity to go to Fox, and lo and behold, Glenn Beck was on. He is an instigator of violence and trouble. He's a horse. He was talking about, I don't know, some business mumbo jumbo that Rush Limbaugh would talk about. You know, when you know, so the same shit. Support big business. It creates jobs in America, which is a complete lie, because the jobs will be outsourced to third world countries, and of course, what a horse's ass he is. He really is. A jerk. What a jerk. I would love to put a sleeper hold on Glenn Beck. I don't need any apparatus. I have these two very powerful hands that have become very strong by swinging the Iron Sheik Persian clubs. All I need to do is grab him and put him in a sleeper hold. You know, he's a jerk. He's a big mouth, a troublemaker, basically, and he's spewing hatred, and he's spewing lies, conservative propaganda. Anyway, that Taco Bell, did you find an article about that? Taco Bell in the news for not complying with the government's requirement, or FDA or whatever, of having what percentage of pure meat is required?
They say that that particular item that you're talking about had 40% of beef in it.
Only 40%?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be what?
Well, if you're saying something's beef, it should be all beef.
They're saying all beef, so...
I don't know if they're saying all beef.
So they're putting mystery meat and filler, perhaps?
Probably.
And not complying with the government and not respecting their customers. And it reminds me of... who's using the word all black Angus hamburger? Is that McDonald's or Burger King? They're throwing the word Angus around. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's basically mystery meat, and they're lying to the public. But it's Corporate America. It's corporatism.
They can get away with anything they want.
Incredible, incredible. And all right, continue with the first article.
Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura is suing the Department of Homeland Security and the Transportation Security Administration, saying full body scans and pat-downs at airport checkpoints are violating his rights. Ventura filed this lawsuit Monday in federal court in Minnesota, claiming the new security measures violate his right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. He's asking a federal court to order officials to stop subjecting him to these searches. Ventura was governor of Minnesota in 2002, and he now hosts the television program Conspiracy Theory.
Even though I haven't seen it on True TV, I checked the schedule, 7-day schedule. Haven't seen it for weeks.
The suit says Ventura had a hip replacement.
Pussies, True TV. You're pussies. You're corporate ass kissers.
The suit says
Government
Ventura
ass kissers,
had a hip replacement in 2008. And his
wrestling.
titanium implant sets off the metal detectors.
He had one hip replacement?
That's what it says.
Probably from being a pro wrestler. Yeah.
Well, obviously.
Well, I'm glad he chosen titanium, because the titanium is the strongest alloy, right? Unless they find some mystical extraterrestrial alloy that's stronger than titanium. But you know, it'd be cool if dentists can put in titanium, serrated titanium shark's teeth as an implant, as a crown, so you technically have a weapon right in your mouth.
What are we to be? Tasmanian devils?
Poor Tasmanian devils. They're so cute and they're so sick because of mankind.
Oh, good.
Probably because of mankind destroying the environment. Anyway, Jesse, get back on True TV or True TV, and their producer, Mr. Braverman, come back. You have a lot of fans. People want to hear the real hard-hitting truth. Speaking of Jesse, you can see all of Jesse Ventura's Conspiracy Theory full episodes on the Mega Life 21 hard-hitting internet talk radio station. Just, I believe it's commercial free. Just go to newslettercensored.com and click on the link on the top, you know, involving our radio station. Click on that, and when the show is not on the air, the radio show, you can watch it. One after the other, including the banned episode about the FEMA camps. They're all there. So if True TV pussies out and wimps out to the government and corporate America, corporate and FCC free internet talk radio and Mega Life 21 will not wimp out. You can see every one of the full episodes, which we got off the internet, I believe via YouTube. Yeah. Until YouTube, and then, you know, maybe someday YouTube will pussy out and forfeit their First Amendment rights, and then we won't have the full episodes anymore. But go ahead.
Jack LaLanne, whom you were speaking of before, the fitness guru.
May rest in peace, icon.
Who inspired television viewers to trim down, eat well, and pump iron.
Pump iron, that's
for
right.
For decades before diet and exercise became a national obsession, died Sunday. He was 96. LaLanne died of respiratory failure due to pneumonia Sunday afternoon at his home in Morro Bay on California's Central Coast.
Central Coast, okay.
LaLanne ate healthy and exercised every day of his life.
True.
Up until the end.
And juiced.
I have not only lost my husband and a great American icon, but the best friend and most loving partner anyone could ever hope for. Elaine LaLanne,
sad.
Wife of 51 years and a frequent partner in his television appearances, said, just before he had heart valve surgery in 2009 at age 95, Jack LaLanne told his family that dying would wreck his image.
That's true. It was a joke, yeah.
LaLanne credited a sudden interest in fitness with transforming his life as a teen.
He was very sickly as a teen.
And he worked tirelessly over the next 8 decades to transform the lives of others.
That's true.
The only way you can hurt the body is not to use it, LaLanne said. Inactivity is the killer. And remember, it's never too late. His workout show was a television staple from the 1950s to the 70s. LaLanne and his dog, Happy, encouraged kids to wake their mothers and drag them in front of the television set. He developed exercises that used no special equipment,
Body weight.
just a chair and a towel.
Body weight, calisthenics, yeah, it's true.
He also founded a chain of fitness studios that bore his name and in recent years touted the value of raw fruit, vegetables, as he helped market a machine called Jack LaLanne's Power Juicer.
That's true. He also invented many of the machines that we have today in health clubs. He actually was an inventor of, and he island to San Francisco, a boat full of people. He used to swim in shark-infested waters, and he did that as a stunt every year. Amazing. Up until his golden years, you know.
When he turned 43
Yeah.
in 1957, he performed more than 1,000 push-ups in 23 minutes.
Yeah, often with his arms outward onto his fingertips. Try doing that, young punks.
On the show called You Asked For It television show. At 60, he swam from Alcatraz Island to Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, handcuffed.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say it. His legs and arms were shackled. His legs and arms were shackled.
And towing a boat.
Full of people.
10 years later, he performed a similar feat in Long Beach Harbor. He maintained a youthful physique and joked in 2006 that I can't afford to die. It would wreck my image.
It will wreck my image. That is
fellow bodybuilder and former California Governor Arnold
Schwarzenegger, yeah.
credited LaLanne with taking exercise out of the gymnasium and into the living room. He laid the groundwork for others to have exercise programs, and now it has bloomed from that black and white program into a very colorful enterprise, Schwarzenegger said in 1990.
Well, I have a proposal. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger, with his wife Maria Shriver, should push Washington, unless something like this exists, create a national health and fitness museum, call it the Jack LaLanne Memorial Museum of Health and Fitness, okay, and they should name the museum after Jack LaLanne, because no one has contributed more towards health and fitness, well-being and nutrition, aside from, of course, Gary Nova. Jack LaLanne is number one, and he should be respected and remembered by having a national health and fitness museum called the Jack LaLanne Memorial Museum, the National Museum of Health and Fitness, and and displaying some artifacts like Jack LaLanne's jumpsuits when he did the show, and contributions from different icons in the business, in the field. Another one icon was Bob Hoffman, founder of the York Barbell Company. He was the U.S. Olympic weightlifting coach back in the day. Another icon. Paul Bragg, who was the mentor of Jack LaLanne. He should be in the museum. Eugene Sandow, the first bodybuilding, natural bodybuilder, Mr. Olympia of the turn of the century. Possibly John Grimmick. Yeah, John Grimmick of the 1950s. Icon. Joe Weider, I guess. As long as Joe didn't, I don't know if Joe introduced anabolic steroids back in the 1960s or not, but people that are prominent in health and fitness. Bob Atkins, Carlton Fredericks, they all should have a spot in the National Museum. So anyway, here's to Jack LaLanne. One of a kind. Yes.
Back at the dawn of the dinosaur era, a quick-moving predator set the stage for the famous and fearsome giants that followed in its footsteps. It was a little dinosaur, but it carried a big evolutionary stick. The 4-foot-long hunter lived 230 million years ago in what is now South America, and appears to be the ancestor of such creatures as Tyrannosaurus rex.
Yeah.
It's stunning, said Paul Serrano. Its features such as balancing tail and air pockets in the skull show it was closely related to T-Rex. But while it stood on 2 feet, T-Rex Edromias was a lightweight at just 10 to 15 pounds. Its fossils were discovered in the late 1990s in Isigualasto Formation in northeastern Argentina.
Okay. Interesting.
Very interesting.
Any Chris Christie bashing there? Articles? All right. Let me know when you want to take a break.
Very soon.
Because Mother Nature calls, and we deserve a break every now and then. But I put the videos together when you see them on the internet to form one big show.
Have you ever looked for seeds in the banana?
Yeah, where are the seeds of a banana? You're right. How do you plant a banana?
You're right.
If the seeds are normally found, excuse me for going on a tirade here. My mother loves bananas. She's totally bananas for bananas. I love plantains. I love ripened plantains, which is plátanos maduros in Spanish. I love green plantains, or I guess it's plátanos verde, fried. I like tostones. I like regular bananas. I love the little red ones. They're not as sweet. They're more tart. I like the flavor. I'm sorry for rambling on and on about bananas.
There are none.
There are no seeds to a banana?
You may notice tiny bits of what were once seeds, but that's all.
How do they reproduce?
The banana we eat cannot grow on its own.
Interesting.
For thousands of years, people have grown this important food from parts of other banana plants.
Like grafted, or well, in the wild, does it throw shoots underground and reproduce that way?
Bananas that grow in the wild are inedible or not able to be eaten.
Maybe you have to process them a certain way.
This is because the seeds are so hard and so big that it is difficult to get any actual food from the fruit.
Really?
But about 50,000 years ago, experts say a mutant banana plant appeared in what is probably now Malaysia.
Malaysia?
This plant had no seeds. People could eat the fruit. A smart person discovered people could eat the fruit from the mutant plant. This Stone Age farmer took a cutting or piece of the banana plant and replanted it to get more bananas.
Really?
The mother plants had long shoots or new growth growing out from under the plant.
Right.
These shoots, which looked like giant tulip bulbs, were about as long as an adult's leg.
Well, they do, in Asia, they do eat the banana flower. They cook it like a vegetable. I never had it, though. I hear it's good.
It's like is it the pumpkin? The pumpkin?
What about pumpkins?
The
Calabaza?
flowers, the flowers.
Oh yeah, well my grandmother used to steam the flour of the squash. She was Sicilian. What's the leader? It's a vine. You know when the vine grabs on to the fence or whatever, there's a little curly part. It's tender and the flour's attached to it. She used to cut them and cook them. Sure, they didn't waste anything in the old days, you know.
These daughter shoots lasted for years, so people were able to carry them as they moved to new places, even across the ocean. People replanted these banana shoots at their new homes, spreading the banana through many tropical or hot and rainy lands. In the wild, mutations occur naturally in plants that grow from seeds.
Yeah.
These changes can help the plant survive disease or disasters. But because edible banana plants are all nearly identical copies of the 50,000-year-old mother plant, they have no way to develop new defenses. Several diseases are now threatening to wipe out our favorite banana varieties.
First the dead fish and birds all over the world dropping dead. Then the Tasmanian devils. Now bananas. I'm telling you, man, corporate greed, Satan, doing a number on the planet. Doing a number on the planet. From what I understand, India, the bananas, papayas, mangoes come from India. Well, bananas now I hear they're from Malaysia, but I think India is the one that spread the popularity of these fruits to the rest of the world. You know, coconuts, they're not sure what part of the world the coconut palm is indigenous to. It's sort of like universally all over the tropics. You know, I love coconut.
Tears mean a lot of things.
Tears of a clown when no one's around?
In the drama of human interaction. They telegraph heartbreak, hopelessness, anger, frustration, elation, and relief.
Or the crocodile tears of the Weeper of the House, Congressman John Boehner, the Stan Laurel of Washington. I just had to do that, I'm sorry.
They express mood and can alter behavior in an instant.
Tears of a clown when no one's around.
But it turns out there might be more to know about tears, which historically have interested poets more than science. A team of Israeli researchers believes that tears, in addition to everything else they can convey, send a sexual message that can be summarized as
sexual.
Now's not a good time.
Oh, I thought you meant the sexual message of when the girl is getting plowed very hard from behind and she cries because the man is maybe too big.
In a study published online on Thursday by the journal Science, the researchers reported that men who sniff tears cried by sad women experience a temporary decline in both sexual arousal and circulating testosterone.
Really? The Star Trek episode, was it a Star Trek episode when Kirk touched the tear of this alien girl? He was like under her spell. Wasn't there an episode of that nature?
Maybe.
Yeah, it sounds very familiar. Big Star Trek fan, by the way, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eisman. Me too.
We've identified.
I think William Shatner should have played Kirk in that new movie that producer Abrams produced. You know, but you know they had all like young kids running a starship, and Uhura and Spock were having an affair. We've
identified that there is a chemical signal in human tears. Only women's tears.
Pheromones?
Have been studied so far. But the researchers suspect men's tears and possibly children's also contain chemical signals.
Now, men's tear is a chemical signal for
They are eager to find out what messages
pussy.
those tears may convey. This experiment opened gazillions of questions.
Gazillion? Is that a number?
The new study places human tears in a family of fluids that includes urine and secretions of anogenital glands.
Whoa, we're getting heavy duty here, folks.
Those fluids contain behavior-altering compounds known as pheromones.
Is that what the baboon gives off when you see that the
Big
hemorrhoids, the big bright red hemorrhoids of the asshole of a baboon on those documentaries?
Emotional tears have a different chemical composition
Pheromones.
from tears shed when the eye is irritated. But the identity of the ardor quenching substance they contain isn't known. The study, which required a complicated process of collecting tears and exposing people to them in a controlled manner, was greeted positively in the small circle of researchers who study crying. It's the first report, I think. It's quite interesting. The results indeed are fascinating. In the new study, Sobel, his colleagues, collected tears from women who cried after watching a sad scene in a movie.
Yeah, chick flicks. I hate them.
The researchers beforehand trickled saline solution down the cheeks of the women and collected it as a control substance. A group of men were then exposed to the two liquids.
Right.
By sniffing them in vials.
I think Roy Orbison would have really appreciated this article. You know, this crying, the song he did,
And
crying.
for
Bye.
some of the experiments, by having a small pad soaked with the liquid taped between the nostrils
Oh,
and
jeez.
the upper lip. The men were unable to distinguish the liquids. Both were odorless. But their physiological state,
Physiological.
and to some extent their thoughts, changed, depending on whether the liquid was tears or saline. For example, when presented with emotionally ambiguous pictures of women's faces,
Right.
17 of 24 men in the experiment found the faces to be less sexually attractive after sniffing the tears than after sniffing the saline.
Right.
After watching a sad movie and sniffing tears during it, they also reported an overall reduction
Yeah.
in sexual arousal. These subjective changes were small. Slightly larger were changes in physiological measurements. Testosterone concentration in saliva, which reflects the amount circulating in the bloodstream, fell 13% after sniffing tears, but stayed the same after sniffing saline.
Yeah, that's the what predetermines sex drive in both men and women is free blood testosterone, right? Pretty much.
But they're saying if the tears are sad, the men sniff it and they're not sexual anymore.
So there's a chemical change.
Yeah.
Emotional. Interesting, really.
Physiological state as measured by skin temperature, heart rate, and respiration also fell after exposure to the tears.
Okay.
Functional MRI imaging of the brain also showed less activity in areas associated with sexual arousal
Okay.
after smelling the tears.
Okay.
Taken together, the results jointly suggest that women's emotional tears contain a chemical signal that reduces sexual arousal in men.
Well, they can also leave curlers in their hair and put on weight and wear moo-moos, and that'll reduce sexual arousal in men.
In an interview, Mr. Sobel hastened to add that he doesn't think chemical signaling is unique to women's tears.
Uh-huh.
His research used them simply because they were easier to obtain.
Mm-hmm.
The research team posted an advertisement on the Wiseman Institute campus seeking volunteers who could cry easily. 60 women and one man responded. The researchers now have two male criers and are slowly recruiting more to study the effects of their tears on
Give me a
women.
break. Male criers, they should be body slammed.
On other men.
They should be body slammed. I think we should definitely take a break. I need one.
We should, because
right.
tea time.
Yeah, right. High tea. It's high tea. Ho, hi-oh.